Welcome to Chip Off the Old Black, episode 6. What's going on, Cambo?
Episode 6. What's going on, Dad? Welcome to episode 6. I was thinking last night, I can't wait until we get to episode 57 so we can be 57 no.
We can
Get around 57 no. Take
57
my
0.
picture,
Kelly Robinson,
cheese.
57 0. Yeah.
Take my picture, cheese. Cheese. On my good side. Cheese.
We've got a while before we get to that, but right now, episode 6. So what's been going on this last week? I think we talked about a week ago. So what's been going on?
I gotta tell you, I got some stuff to get to. Wait a minute. I'm gonna need a stress candle. I'm gonna need an emotional. I'm gonna need an emotional.
Is this your emotional
candle.
support candle?
Yes, I need an emotional support candle for the week I've had already. This is a new one too. This is mahogany and teak wood. It makes my house smell of rich mahogany.
Like rich mahogany. Okay.
A rich mahogany. That is a movie reference for anyone who gets it. All right, and I've got my coffee.
Okay.
You like my Alaska mug, my moose mug?
I love your Alaska mug. I wonder who got you that.
I don't know. Probably some people in Alaska.
Price of people you know in
Okay.
Alaska.
Okay. So, as viewers have probably noticed, there is a stark difference. There's quite the dichotomy, if you will, between my background typically, which consists of sports jerseys and my man cave, my basement, and my background right now, which is curtains that I'm pretty sure my mother picked out. We are in my kitchen right now because, to make a long story short, and I really will make a long story short, my basement flooded. For the second time since I've lived in this house, basement completely soaked with water. Woke up Monday morning. It was about 6:30 in the morning. I took my coffee downstairs and I was going to sit in my cave and have some coffee while I waited for my ride. And I stepped into a big puddle. Um, so I whipped into action, called a plumber, called some other guys I know that to help out. Right now, my basement, if we were down there, you wouldn't even be able to hear me because right now there's dehumidifiers going and air movers and fans and all sorts of stuff. But it is drying out. It is drying out, so it's coming along well. It's just a pain in the butt. I was telling someone the other day, they were like, "Well, what kind of floors do you have?" Well, I have these fake wooden laminates, and Dad knows because he's the one who helped put them down. Ironically, it's called a floating floor, which is great because they do
It's
a lot of floating
perfect.
in my
It's
house.
perfect because it's floating right now. That's why
It's
we picked that
floating
one
all the
out so it
time.
would float. Yeah, yeah. Well, that stinks. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, you did tell me a couple days ago when this happened. As you said, it's happened before. So I guess the good news is, if there is any good news, is you have some people to remediate that you've used before. Plumber and a
I do, and
guy to come
I
dry
do.
it up.
And it is good. To look on the positives, I don't have carpet anymore. So the first time it happened, it was a nightmare. It was just awful. But the wood floors, they dry pretty quick and pretty easily. I do have contacts now, so the first time this happened, I was like, what do I even do? Like at that time, I didn't know how to address a flooded basement. I'd never had to deal with that in my life, and now I know how to deal with it and who to call. So it's a pain in the butt, but it's taken care of.
Well,
So
hopefully it's fixed and ready to go by next week, so we don't have to look at those curtains next week.
yeah, the curtains are not. I mean, they're great curtain. Mom, don't even start. They're great curtains. I love the curtains. They're just not really chip off the old black curtains.
Yeah,
But next we need to have chip off the old black curtains.
yeah.
But for episode 7, I should be back in my chair in the cave.
Okay, good deal. Well, for me, since you didn't ask me how my week went, I'll just tell you
I was
anyway.
not. I was taking a drink of coffee. Dad, how did your week go? Dad, how was your
Hey,
week? Dad,
hey, thanks.
Dad,
Hey,
how was your
thanks for
week?
asking that in a totally non-solicited fashion. Uh,
Dad, how was your week?
it was just recovering, I think, recovering, getting rested up from that long flight a week ago. Been shooting some photos, getting out and about, being productive. I tell you what, though, bud, I've got it made when it comes to recuperating compared to your mother. Uh, your mother, we got back from that long flight on a Monday night. I think it was Tuesday. She was on a plane to Fairbanks, and
I
then
know it.
she left.
She
I took her to the airport yesterday, and she is in Kodiak right now. I pick her up tomorrow night, and then next week she goes to Juneau. So 3 weeks in a row. Now that's the bad news. The good news is for her that is the end of her school year. So
no,
after next week she's through traveling.
she recouped for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, she
Um,
got a good 45-minute rest, and then she was back at it. But anyway, that's what's going on around
mwah,
here. What's that?
Ma, you are a troop. You are a trooper, Ma. Mwah.
She is she is that. She is
Yes, she
that.
is.
Okay, so moving right along, as I've said in the last episode, if you see me look down, I've kind of made some notes to try to keep us on track. That doesn't
I have
usually work.
notes too.
You got notes too.
I have notes. We'll get to them in a minute. But I did.
Your
I have notes.
your notes are bump bump, three vertical bumps in a square.
Bump, bump, no bumps, three vertical bumps, four bumps in a square.
In a square. That's right. Uh, take some notes. I jot down some notes to try to keep us a little bit structured. Again, we don't use a script. Maybe it would be better if we did get a teleprompter or something. But anyway, just to try to kind of stay on track a little bit. Uh, Cambo, I think it's the time of the week for the Daggummit Blowout segment.
It is time for the Daggummit Blowout. I've noticed when I go back and listen to our episodes that I get a little too excited to say Dadgummit Blowout, and I often blow out the mic when I say blowout. So I need to calm down a little bit when I say Dadgummit
Well, and I know you're
Blowout.
particularly excited for this week's Daggummit Blowout segment.
I am. I have been waiting. As soon as I saw this score happen on Saturday, which is when it happened, I didn't even look for any more scores because I didn't want anything to outdo it. Okay, so uh, the Royals have actually been doing better lately. They are on what I believe is a 4 game winning streak, which
Oh
for
my
them is
gosh.
quite a lot. I know, but their largest margin of victory came Saturday night here in Kansas City at Kauffman Stadium when the Kansas City Royals beat the Los Angeles Angels 12-1 in a dadgummit blowout.
So finally, it took to what, episode 6, I guess, or episode 5. We started the Daggummit Blowout segment in episode 2. So it took all this time for the Royals to get on the correct side of it.
Yes, and I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts because episode 7, I will probably have a different dadgummit blowout.
we will we will hope not. Okay, sports wise, we like to talk a little sports on the show. Uh, some Oklahoma football, some Chiefs football, some Royals baseball. We already heard some great news about the Royals. Not only did they win in the dadgummit blowout, but they've won what? How many in a row did you say?
I think we're on 4 right now, and that 4 also includes a sweep of the Angels, uh, one of which those games came in extra innings. And last night they went to wherever the Athletics are living right now. I think it's Sacramento. They're like a gypsy baseball team. They're waiting for their stadium to be built in Vegas, in New Vegas. Um, they went to Sacramento to face the Athletics and beat them in extra innings last night too.
So awesome. Sounds like they got a little winning streak going. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Oklahoma football, the spring game, we talked about the spring game last week, the two of us, and spring game's over. So basically spring ball is over. Uh, really nothing much in the college football landscape to talk about. But this past weekend was big time for a lot of college athletes. It was the NFL draft. So I made some notes of some Oklahoma players that were drafted, and I'm going to talk about them real quickly. And then Cameron, I know you've got some notes on your sheet of paper as to who the Chiefs drafted, in case there's anybody watching that would like to know. Uh, Oklahoma's first draft pick taken was R. Mason Thomas. He was taken in the second round. Oklahoma didn't have
By
any.
the Chiefs.
He did. They didn't. What'd you say?
I said they took by the Chiefs. The
Yep.
Chiefs took him.
The Chiefs took R. Mason Thomas to play him as a linebacker, even though he played edge at Oklahoma. Anyway, he was drafted in the second round, and then the fourth round, Fabechi Wiwu, offensive lineman from Oklahoma.
We
He was
will.
drafted by the Texans. And then the fourth round, Grayson Halton, defensive tackle, was drafted by the 49ers. Okay, what are you smiling about?
We will.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, a little bit of a strange name.
I mean,
Uh
I might buy his jersey just so I can have Wee Woo.
yeah, you need to have wee woo hanging on your wall. That's what you need. Uh after Grayson Halton to the 49ers in the fourth round, strangely enough, the very next pick in the fourth round, Kendall Daniels from the Falcons. Kendall Daniels was a transfer last year from Oklahoma State. He came from Oklahoma State to Oklahoma, and from what I've heard, like to put it mildly, it was a great move on his part. He's been drafted now because of that. Then you go to the seventh round. Robert Spears Jennings, our safety, one of our safeties, was drafted by the Steelers. Seventh round, Jared Kanik. This one really surprised me. Jared Kanik,
Oh man.
drafted by the Titans. He played linebacker, and for those watching that follow Oklahoma football, they know this, but he played linebacker most of his career at Oklahoma, and last year he switched to tight end. He's about 240 pounds, so he's really
I
light.
like Jared Kanik. I mean, I'm happy for him. Don't misunderstand me. I'm very happy. Good for him. But I'll miss him. I liked him.
Yeah, yeah, he was, and he did. It's not like he opted to go pro. His eligibility was done. He was a senior last year,
Was he a
and
doctor?
what's that?
Was he one of those football players that become a doc? Is he a doc? Have his doctorate?
No, that would be Jaden Daniels from Kansas that played for Kansas for 19
Oh
years.
yeah, he is almost Dr. Daniels. I think he's still with Kansas this year. I'll have to look.
No, no, he's not. He's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer now. They took him. Uh,
Oh, did they?
anyway, Jared Kanik, kind of light for a tight end, was drafted by the Titans. Not much telling what they're going to do with him. I don't think he definitely can't play tight end in the NFL, not at 240 pounds. But I'm with you. Good for him. He was always when he was here, he was every player's favorite player. Just a great
Yeah,
team guy.
I liked
And
him a
then
lot.
finally,
Good for him.
Deion Burks was the last Oklahoma player drafted. Uh,
Really?
yeah, people thought he ran like a sub 4.340 at the combine. People thought he was maybe going to go in the third or fourth round. He slid to the seventh round. Uh, I don't know. Typically, when something like that happens, it's either health related or character related. I don't, you
I
know,
I wouldn't have
there's
minded the
no
Chiefs
telling.
picking him up.
And
I wouldn't mind the
probably
Chiefs
the
picking him up,
strangest
but
news out of the draft, and get you'll get a kick out of this, Cameron. We were talking last week or 2 weeks ago about DeMarco Murray leaving, and I could not, neither of us could figure out what team he went to coach running backs in the NFL. It was the Chiefs. I can't believe you didn't jump on that.
I didn't know that either.
Yes, DeMarco Murray is the Chiefs running back coach. Okay, Jaden Ott, and you probably remember the name Cameron, and anybody that watched Oklahoma football, he transferred from Cal last year, and I mean was hyped to the hilt. He was supposed to revive the running game in Oklahoma. He was just supposed to be this superstar. The guy hardly ever got on the field. His running back
Mm.
coach, who never let him on the field, DeMarco Murray. Well, he did not get drafted, but he signed with the Chiefs yesterday or day before yesterday. I I don't know why DeMarco Murray would want him back. I don't know why he would want to go back, but he is a Kansas City Chief now until he fails to make the team. That is. So anyway, that's the draft news for Oklahoma players. Uh, they had I think they were tied for maybe seventh or eighth in the nation with the most players drafted. They definitely were nowhere near the top with the most players in the first round. They didn't have any players in the first round. Ohio State, we talked about already, had four. So, but they were, I think they were tied with maybe Alabama having seven players drafted. So, you know, anyway, there's the draft news. Uh, Now you can break out your sheet. Tell me about the Chiefs
I've got my
draft. Who did
sheet.
they get besides R. Mason Thomas? And Jay Knott
Uh,
wasn't drafted. So,
I've got my sheet right here. I'm going to read y'all my sheet.
okay.
Uh, you see me reading okay?
Yeah, I see you reading okay.
Okay, so I'm probably going to mispronounce this first gentleman's name. So just bear with me on this. Mansour Delane, cornerback out of LSU. They got him in the first round.
Okay.
Mansour, Mansoor, Delane, Delane.
I don't remember the first name, but I remember the last name, and I remember him at LSU. He's first round material, that's for sure.
Well, I was going to say he must be good because the Chiefs traded up to get him. They got him at number 6.
Okay.
Next, also in the first round, Peter Woods, defensive tackle out of Clemson.
Yeah, that one doesn't ring a bell with me.
Round 2, R. Mason Thomas, Oklahoma. And
That one rings
I
a bell.
listen, I got this off the Chiefs website, and on the Chiefs official website, they have him marked as edge.
Okay.
So I wonder if that is where they intend to play him, because that is how he's listed on their website.
Okay.
Okay. They did not have a round 3 pick. Round 4, uh, Jaden Kennedy, cornerback out of Oregon.
Okay.
Round 5, Emmett Johnson, running back out of Nebraska.
Okay.
And also in round 5, Cyrus Allen, wide receiver out of Cincinnati.
Okay.
And then finally in round 7, I actually did recognize this name, Garrett Nussmeier, QB from LSU.
Okay. So
I
Garrett
guess,
Nussmeier is going to be a guy that gets no playing time at all behind
yeah,
him.
they picked Garrett Nussmeier to warm the bench while Patrick Mahomes plays.
Okay. Okay. So there's the story on the NFL draft for the Sooners players and for the Chiefs. Uh,
The
have you heard
Chiefs,
anything about is Mahomes going to be ready for the season?
he says so. He says that he is. I mean, Mahomes, he was saying that when he went down with the injury. I think he was saying that as he was hobbling off the field, that he was going to be ready for the next season. That's just kind of the player that Mahomes is. But I have heard that his doctors are also saying that they expect that he should be as well, barring any setbacks. I think the only thing that really surprised me about the draft, and I think it surprised most Chiefs fans, was last year our defense was not the problem. Our despite our world class quarterback, our offense was the problem. So everyone was expecting, you know, people who tuned into last week's episode, they had a wide receiver going in the first round to the Chiefs. They did not pick a wide receiver until I think I said it was
Five or
round
seven.
5.
5 or 7, I
Yeah,
think, was the
it's
kid from
round yeah,
Cincinnati.
round 5. Cyrus Allen. So they didn't get a wide receiver until round 5. They got a running back and a backup quarterback, and then everything else was defense. It was a very defense heavy draft for the Chiefs, which surprised me a little bit because, like I said, I didn't think the defense was the issue last year. Um, but it was a very defensive heavy draft. So we'll see what happens.
Well, and if you last week I talked about the top 10 Mel Kiper's top 10 projected picks, and I don't know how those fell out. I didn't, I didn't follow the draft, but uh, anyway, his prediction of the top 10 picks. I mean, obviously Mendoza was the number one pick, the quarterback, and pretty much from 2 to 10, there were a couple of offensive linemen, but the rest of them were defensive players. So, uh, you know, that saying, defense wins championships. It didn't help the Chiefs. Didn't help the Chiefs last year, but typically that is the case. So, moving on from the draft, the Oklahoma draft and the Chiefs draft, are you ready for the Cyclops segment, bud?
I am ready for the Cyclops segment. Are you ready for the Cyclops segment?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think so. I've got another. Most of mine are visual, so I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna
Which is ironic.
translate on video, but we're gonna try it.
Okay.
Fire away.
Okay, so I was gonna tell this story anyway. Sorry about that. I was gonna tell this story anyway, but it also came in the form of a question from one of our biggest fans, and so I figured I'll kill two birds with one stone, answer the question, but also I'm kind of cheating because I'm going to use it as my story. Um, so unfortunately, as most of you know, I am single and have been for about 4 years. So I have had to utilize some of these modern dating tools that they call dating apps. And I'm not going to take this time to get on a big soapbox about dating apps, but I will tell you that being a blind man on a dating app can sometimes be entertaining. It's either entertaining or you could take it as insulting. I choose to take it as entertaining because the questions that I get from grown women who, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, have reproduced uh, is quite surprising to me. And so I've just tried to pick out just a couple of my favorites. I get that I think are the funniest. That's the most ridiculous.
Okay.
Because I get a lot. I get a whole lot. Like, well, how do you work? How do you get around? How do you use transportation? How do you pick out your clothes? I don't necessarily think that those are bad questions. I really don't. Uh,
No,
I
no, not
don't
at
mind
all.
when someone asks me how I get around or what I do for a living or things like that. I think those are legitimate questions. However, there are some that even I cannot get around that are just kind of silly. And what's that?
I'm just laughing.
So I'm going to highlight a couple. Uh, we're going to keep it pretty PG, but I'm going to highlight a couple that have stuck with me through the last few years of doing this on and off.
You're gonna
I
keep it.
think
You're gonna keep it PG, but I, I know from talking to you, there are some that are not PG.
there are some that are not PG, but my mom watches this show.
Yeah.
So I also found out some people I know from work watch this show. I found that out today.
Okay.
Uh, so we're going to keep it PG, but I've gotten some pretty ridiculous questions that grown women should just know not to ask, and we'll just leave it at that. Um, but a couple of my favorites. Some of these are actually just comments. They're not even questions. Here's one of my favorites. When I got this one, I actually took a screenshot of it and I texted it. Dad probably doesn't remember. I texted it to my mother and father, and I said, I think my text said something like, "Meet your new daughter-in-law." And here's what the text said. Most times on these dating apps, people will start out with, "Hey, how you doing? How are you? Nice to match with you," stuff like that. This was the first thing she said to me. The very first thing she said to me. Not, "Hi, how are you?" Nothing. She said, and I quote, I have one of those magic sticks that when you wave it around, it helps you see. I can give it to you if you want.
Was she like a wizard or a warlock or something?
Yeah, so I took that to work. Now remember, people, I work in a building of mostly blind people. And I showed that to a few of my coworkers. And one of my coworkers said, "You need to message her back right away and tell her we need about 150 to 200 of those magic sticks right
We
now so that
we
we can
need
all
a whole
see.
crate. Need a whole crate
We
full of
need
those
a
magic
crate of
sticks.
magic sticks to help us all see."
Wow. That's just all you can say to that. Wow. She had a
Yeah.
magic stick that if you wave it around, you can see.
Yeah, she had one and she was going to give it to me, which is really quite nice of her. Maybe I should have messaged her back.
I think you probably should have. It's too bad you didn't tell him. Hey, I didn't tell her. Hey, I need a whole crate of those. Can you? How much is a crate of those things?
Yeah. How much would you charge? Could I get a can I get like a group charge for these magic sticks?
I need a volume
Because I
discount on the magic anti-blind stick. I need a group discount.
so that's one. Um, I've had women think that I'm lying, like to get attention or to get pity, and they'll ask me a bunch of questions about being blind, not because they're curious, but almost like they're trying to catch me in a lie. You know, they're hoping to trip me up, and then they get mad, they get flat pissed off when they can't trip me up. Um, so I'm trying. I think of some others. Yeah, I had one woman ask me, "How do you get around your house? How do you get around your house?"
Uh,
Um, One of
yeah,
my
that's a
favorites.
stupid question. That's not as wild as the last one. That's for sure.
It's not wild. It's just dumb.
Yeah.
It's just dumb. Another one. This is not a question. This is more of a short story. I was talking with this woman one time, and she said, I need to tell you something, and it's kind of a deal breaker for most men." And I said, "Okay, well, let's hear it." And she said, "Well, you seem like a really open minded guy, so I just wanted to let you know that it's not a big deal, but I recreationally use meth." And I said, "Okay, well," I said, "I'm not going to preach at you or nothing like that, but this is not going to work for me, mainly because I don't recreationally use meth. Um, so I feel like that's not an activity that we could do together, you know?
That's
Um,
yeah, that's not a bonding activity for the two of you.
doing doing meth was not really what I had in mind for a couples activity. Uh, so I this isn't going to work out." And she sent me a message back, and I can't repeat it. She just cussed me up one side and down the other. And I was just going to block her and ignore it. But at the end of the message, she wrote, "I thought if anyone would understand, it would be you." And I had to take the bait on that. And I messaged her back and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't recreationally do meth. Why would I understand?" And she messaged me back and she goes, "Because you should understand what it's like to have people judge you based on one single quality about yourself." And I'm like, "Are you seriously comparing my condition of being blind since birth to your drug problem?"
Okay, I still haven't
Um,
heard my favorite. I don't know if you're going to say it or not.
I I think it's next.
Okay.
I think that I saved what I think is the funniest one for last. And if I don't say it, then you're welcome to say
Okay.
it. My one of my favorites is this last one here. This is the last one for right now. A woman messaged me one time. We'd been talking for a couple of days, and she had kind of been asking a lot of off the wall questions. In fact, I think she was the same woman who asked me how I find my way around my house. And finally, one morning, she messaged me. Uh, she's like, what are you doing?" I'm like, I'm gonna take a shower. I'm getting ready for work. I gotta go." And she goes, "Do you take your cane into the shower?"
That's the one. That is the winner right there.
And I got I got just a little bit sarcastic. Uh, I felt like Ron White. I was trying not to be a jerk because I couldn't be a jerk anymore, no matter what, right?
Yeah, that's
Uh,
right.
So I got a little sarcastic. I messaged her back and I said, just how big do you think my shower is? Do you think I have like crosswalks and fire hydrants and truncated domes in my
Truncated
shower?
domes, truncated
Truncated
domes,
domes.
and stoplights, and yeah. Maybe she
You
thought
think
you just
there's
had a gigantic shower or something.
you
I don't.
think there's bushes and four-lane traffic in my shower? No, I don't take my cane in my shower. And I asked her, I said, and she got upset. I was just asking a question. And then I felt bad. I'm like, okay, well, why do you think I would need my cane in my shower? And she said, well, what if you drop the soap?
The cane would help you find the soap if you dropped it.
I guess so. I guess I'd wave my cane around until I found the soap. Uh, so it's questions like that I've had to put up with dating apps, hence why I am not currently on
Okay. Okay. Well, those are interesting questions. Uh,
one.
you know, and again, and you and I have talked that for people to be uh for people to be curious and ask questions out of curiosity, that's totally understandable.
Yeah.
To ask if you use your cane in the shower, I got nothing on that one. That's
No, listen, this segment is not to discourage people from asking me questions. Not
no,
at all.
no.
I am a very open man. I have been blind for almost 40 years. I am extremely comfortable in my own skin. I'm a very confident blind man. So if you have a question about transportation or living alone or raising two kids or cooking or things like that, by all means, ask those questions. But if you're going to ask me if I take my cane in the shower, you're
And
probably
you
going
don't
to
want
get brought up
it.
on,
Just know if you do that, you're going to get brought. You're going to get
yeah.
brought up in this segment.
If you do
And
that, you're going to get brought up in this show, and it's not going to be flattering.
yes, you're going to be brought up and ridiculed for asking a question like that.
You shall be publicly ridiculed.
Public ridicule, humiliations galore. Yeah. Okay, my story much quicker. Uh, Last week my story was about dinner time. This one's also about dinner time. Do I
Oh,
have
I
any?
know this one.
Do I have any other stories besides dinner time? Yes, I do. But this was one of my favorites, and again, this is visual, so uh, I'll I'll try to hope it works on camera. We're eating dinner one night, the four of us, same dinner table where I pushed Cameron's face in the spaghetti. This was another night though. Uh,
Dinner time was rough in our house.
I know dinner time. Dinner time was rough. Prison dinner's got nothing on dinner time at our house. So that night we're having pork chops, something else that Cameron didn't like, and he had this little pork chop on his plate. I'm doing my hands in the shape of a plate, Cameron, so you know what's
You're
going on.
pantomiming.
Huh?
You're pantomiming a pork chop on a
I'm
plate.
pantomiming. That's what I'm doing. So he has his plate and he has his pork chop on there, and I mean he'd been eating on that pork chop for 45 minutes. We were all finished, and he was still just eating these little bites. And as I said last week, he put his face down like that onto the plate to be able to see enough to pick up the. Well, he was working and working, and we were like, Cameron, buddy, come on. And he just working and working, and he got down to where he almost had it gone. He was so relieved. He almost had it gone. He turned his head for some reason, and I there was a full one still on the plate. I took his off when his head was turned, and I put the full one on it, the whole pork chop on his plate. And he turns his head back, just slams his face down in disbelief, like, "What happened? How'd that pork chop grow? I know I was doing better than that." Yeah, dinner could be a rough time around the old.
Dinner was rougher than night in jail at our house, only for me.
Yeah, it could be tough. But
Well,
anyway, couple of
I
good.
say only for me. I
What's
say
that?
only for me. Super quick, super quick story. One time at dinner, it was April Fool's. And I think it was the April Fools right after I got my glass eye. And I think we were having like chicken and rice and something else. And I took my eye out and I buried it in mom's rice. You remember that?
Yes, I do. Fortunately, she did not ingest the eye, or it would not have been near as
No,
funny.
I did not think that through.
You might not have thought that one all the way through. Uh,
I left it poking out. So it was
oh
like
yeah, it
her
was
rice
easy.
was looking at
It was easy to see, no pun intended.
it.
It was easy to see for her, but she got a kick out of it that you played that kind of joke. Uh, but yeah, it wouldn't have been so funny if she'd have eaten the thing. You kind of
I don't know.
you
I don't
kind
know
of
why
you
I put it
pop
in
that.
her
You used to
rice.
when you were young. You used to pop that eye out for shock value a lot.
I did. I had quite a bit of fun with that. I don't know why I put it in her rice. I should have put it in yours. She's not the one who smashed my face in my spaghetti and put a big old pork chop on my plate.
Yeah, I heard a comment about that. Somebody commented about my Cyclops story last week. That was so mean. You were so mean to him.
Well,
Yeah, I guess so. Huh?
they asked you what mom said to you when you did that. I don't recall.
I, you know what? She was laughing till she was crying, and then afterwards she said, "Honey, that was terrible." After she laughed her head off about it, everybody was laughing about it, including you. Everybody was laughing about that pork chop story too, except you. You weren't laughing about that one. You didn't understand
That
how
wasn't funny.
you didn't understand how your one bite of pork chop turned into a whole pork chop. Okay, buddy. Moving on. Moving on. We're making great progress tonight. We went for a while going into the I don't want to talk about it segment. We didn't have any questions and we didn't want to talk about it. What is the rule in the don't want to talk about it segment? Cameron, how many will we answer?
We will answer three questions, no more.
Three questions, no more. We don't want to talk
And we
about it.
don't want to talk about it.
Well, we got three questions this week. We had our first question last week. We got three questions this week. And I don't know. Have you seen? I kind of went over them a little bit with you, Cameron, but you haven't seen them. So I'm just going to start with question number one, if that's okay with you.
You know, I think that one is the one about from one of my mother's coworkers. I don't know if she wants us to say her name, so we just won't. But she asked what I like most about being blind, and
Okay.
I'm going to tell you straight up that that is a fairly long answer. So if
Okay.
you'd like for us to save that one for last, maybe we should.
Okay. Well, moving on. When will your mother make a guest appearance? Uh,
Never.
isn't that ironic that that came up? Because the two of us, well, the three of us, she was sitting on the couch when you and I were on the phone a couple of nights ago. Uh, and I'm going to try not to get deep in the weeds with this, but part of part of one of the things that part of what Cameron does for a living uh, is to try to help other blind and visually impaired people find employment. That's one of the things he does. He was telling us a story, and don't worry, buddy, no names are going to be mentioned. He talked to an organization in Kansas City uh, a few days ago, and they said not just no, but hell no. We don't want any blind people working for us. Uh,
They were polite about it, but that's what it boiled down to.
that's what it boiled down to. And when his mother, who was sitting next to me, heard this conversation, she was, of course, incensed. She's a teacher, the visually impaired, and a certified orientation and mobility specialist. So, uh, in our family, there's one absolute, complete, total expert on being blind and getting around and living on your own and being employed, and that's Cameron. There's one that's pretty close to an expert, and that's Cameron's mother. Uh, we said right then, this is a worthwhile deal. Uh, we need to try to do some type of outreach to employers, wherever the viewers may be, whatever type of employer. And I get it. With employers, I owned my own business for a long time. I was an employer, had employees, and I was telling Cameron on the phone, if a blind person, you know, came and applied for a job with me, all I would be able to think about was liability. Oh my gosh, something's going to happen to them. I understand that, and the biggest reason I would feel that way would be ignorance on my part of what capabilities they do have. Cameron interacts with a lot of blind and low vision people, and they want to work. They want to work. They want a job. They could just sit around and collect government money, but they don't
Yeah.
want to do that. Starting with
And
Cameron,
I
he could too, but
and
he's
I
never wanted
interact
to do
with a
that.
lot.
What's
I
that?
interact with a lot who do. I interact with a lot who do work, who do have jobs, and they work hard. They are
Yes.
dedicated, hardworking, able employees.
But along the lines of this topic, uh, we want to get Cameron's mother on as a guest to talk about this, to talk about what the capabilities are and how they are taught. Uh, Regrettably, she's a little bit camera shy
She,
and doesn't
she
necessarily
said
want to
not
be, but
just
we're
no, but hell no.
not just no, but hell, she's a little camera shy, but we're not through working on her yet. We're gonna get her on. As I stated before, she's almost finished with her school year uh, work, and she'll get a summer break. This is not
Mhm.
the time to try to get her to come on as a
No.
guest because she's just
And before we started having this conversation about BVI employment, we were just going over the questions, and we we graciously extended her an invite before the whole conversation about employment for those with vision loss. We graciously extended her an invite to be a guest on the show, and it was an ardent, vehement no.
no. What part of no don't you understand? Yeah, but we're
Yeah,
gonna keep working. We're not through working on her, buddy. We're
no.
gonna get her. We're gonna get her on here. We're gonna get her on as a guest. Maybe here in another 30 days or so, we can get her on here as a guest because it's definitely a worthwhile thing to talk about. The funny thing about her being camera shy, and you remember this, Cameron, when they shot the documentary, they shot it in two locations. The first shoot was in Kansas City, and it was just you and I and the production team. And the second shoot was in New York City. And she was not able to come to Kansas City for that shoot, but she was able to make it to New York City. We said, both of us told her we want you there, and she said, under one condition, I will not appear on camera. I do not want to be.
Yeah, she wore her whale shirt.
Yep. She wore her oil shirt, hoping she would not be on camera. I do not want to be on camera. And we're in the green room with you. I know you remember
She wore her
this.
whale. I told her she could wear her whale shirt on the show.
I tell you what, we're getting a lot of lag on your end, buddy. I don't know what for. There we go. There we
Yeah,
go.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, I don't know why, but if you remember, we were sitting in the green room, you and I and her, and what was the guy's name that the long haired California guy?
Connor.
Connor, yeah.
Connor.
He came in with some paperwork and he said, "Here, Angel, can you just sign this? We want to interview you on camera tomorrow." And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to be. Oh, it'll be fine. You'll be great." And so she, who doesn't want to be on the camera, she was in the documentary and was great the few minutes she was in. But anyway,
She was fantastic.
that is a long answer to when will she make a guest appearance. Anybody that's a viewer that knows my wife slash his mother, please encourage her. Uh, she's wonderful, beautiful, intelligent, and she would make a great guest and be able to talk about a really, really important topic. Okay, buddy.
My mother is an amazing woman, and
Yes, she is.
I'm gonna tear up. I am so proud of my mom and the work that she's doing. I brag about her all the time because I know a lot of TVIs and I know a lot of comms and what I do for a living, and I brag about Ma all the time, and I am so proud.
Yeah, so am I. Honestly, that conveniently is a segue into the next question. And this one's actually to me. Almost every question is to you, and that's cool. This one is to me. It's not really that serious of a question, but Todd, why do you refer to her as wife and not love of your life, which she is, queen, which she is, or other? And this will surprise this particular viewer. Maybe she hasn't heard me refer to her as this, but you have heard me refer to her as this, and she has too. I call her a superhero. She's like Wonder Woman. She's a superhero. Uh, she has accomplished a ton later in life. You know, most people that finish school, finish their masters, do it when they're young. She went back to school when she was 50. So it's never too late for anybody that thinks I'm just too old to do it. It's never too late. And she works in a job that it's a young person's game and it's hard on her, but she feels called to do it and she does it. She travels all over Alaska to rural places of Alaska. She doesn't she doesn't just sit in a classroom like a normal teacher. So, yeah, she is a superhero as far as I'm concerned. I refer to her as wife and mother. I'm not going to refer to her by her first name when Cameron and I are talking because she is not Angel to him. She's mom. So, uh,
I I know a couple. I know
what's
a
that?
couple things that you call her. A couple things that you call her that I heard all growing up that I still hear
Yeah,
is you call her cute. Now, let me explain. He doesn't call her cute as a descriptor. It's not an adjective. It's a noun. It's a title. He'll say, "Hey, cute. Hello, cute. What are you doing, cute?"
guilty. That's what I call her. That's what I call her when I
Yeah.
text her. So,
You
yeah,
also you also call her Hooney, not honey, not hun, Hooney, as in when Dad's doing dishes and he says, "This has to soak, Hooney."
this has to soak, Cooney. We're not going to scrub this. This needs to soak. Now, that is my philosophy on about every dish when I'm doing dishes.
This has to soak, Hooney.
They all need to soak overnight, preferably, till I can do them the next day. If I can get away with that. Well, now that you threw those little pet names I have out for, and I'm going to be the subject of ridicule. I can think of one viewer that
Why?
definitely will ridicule me. Uh,
I think they're cute. They're
well,
sweet.
you know, I love her to death. We were high school sweethearts. We've been together forever, and just love her to death. Okay, we are to the third question now. We've addressed the first two questions. The third question is to you. What is your favorite thing about being blind?
Okay, so I saw this question. This question popped up not long after last week's episode. So I've had a few days to think about it because I really wanted to give a good answer. I really do because anyone who knows me knows that I am a relentlessly upbeat and positive man, and that there is really not a lot that bothers me. And because of that, there are a lot of things that I truly love about being blind. There really is. I consider being blind a tremendous blessing. And so I'm going to attempt to answer this because I've really given it some thought. Um, I tell people all the time, I may get emotional through this question. This is a very personal question for me. Um, I don't know who I would be if I wasn't blind because so much of my life and who I am as a man has been shaped by the fact that I can't see. And then I was thinking about it just today. Even my parents' lives have been shaped by the fact that I can't see. My mother, we've been talking about how awesome my mother is, and in no way am I trying to take credit for how awesome my mother is at all. That is all her, all her. But she says all the time that I'm the inspiration for her life's work, which touches me to my core. And so if I wasn't blind, y'all probably would not have moved to Alaska, and mom definitely would not be doing what she's doing.
You mean to get away from you?
Yeah, she moved there to get as far away from me as possible. Like, he's not coming to Alaska. But that doesn't even answer the question. What is my favorite part? My favorite part of being blind is my favorite part of being blind is the place that God has placed me in, as far as like I am in a position now, and I've always been in this position because I've been very, very fortunate through things like the documentary and other public and media appearances that I've made. I've been extremely fortunate. I've been so blessed to get to do some of the incredible things I've gotten to do. But now, because of my job, I I have potential to impact people's lives on a daily basis with with the media posts that I write, with the tours that I give, with the other projects that I do at my work. Those projects have potential to touch people's lives and to change how they view their own situation, dealing with their own vision loss. And I am honored that the Lord is using me as a tool to hopefully impact the lives of the people that I work with and people that I work alongside, and anyone who might receive a tour from me or who might see a piece of media that I had a hand in producing. And I that is truly the best part of being blind. And there are so many wonderful things about being blind, but that is the best part, knowing that every day when I go into work, I have potential to positively impact someone's life and to help them in their journey with vision loss. Also, pre-boarding airplanes is awesome.
Oh, all right. I thought one thing you would say would be your super sensitive hearing. One thing when you were a kid living in the house, your mother and I, we'd be in the other end of the house, and she'd start to whisper something about Cameron. I said, "Don't. He'll hear you. You hear everything." And there's no secrets. There's no whispering around Cameron. He hears it. He hears it. So,
I think I think mom and dad's favorite part about me being blind is that they get to wrap my Christmas and birthday presents right in front of me.
well, not just wrap them, go Christmas shopping with you.
Pick them out and throw them in the car.
Yeah, your mother has taken you birthday and Christmas shopping for you with her multiple times. So, yeah, throw it in the cart. He can't see what it is. No big deal. So, well, that is an awesome answer. Doesn't surprise me. Uh, from the time you were born, your mother and I did all we felt like we could do to preserve your vision. The Lord had other plans, and as is typical, the Lord's plans were on a much higher level than our plans. It uh, it it bothered us. It never bothered you. So that's cool. That's a great answer. That's a great answer. And I think with that, we probably going to talk a little bit about next week's episode. We've answered the three questions. Again, if you've got questions to me, to Cameron, put them in the comments below. Drop them in the comments below. When you do what? What we haven't even talked about in this episode yet. Subscribe and like. Please subscribe,
Yes,
like
subscribe
this
and
video.
like. It takes 2 seconds. It's totally free. Helps us out. Helps blind people out everywhere. I don't know how, but it does.
Throw that blind
So
card out there. Just throw it out
that's
there.
right. If you
If
don't subscribe, it's because you don't like blind people.
if you don't subscribe, you got something against blindies. That's all there is to it. Yeah. Okay. Subscribe and like. Uh, Next week's episode, we talked about this a little bit with, spring ball being over, and the draft over. Not a lot of sports to talk about next week. That may or may not make some viewers happy. I know when your mother watches the episode, she fast forwards past that. Uh, but there won't be really anything to speak of unless the Royals happen to win 3 or 4 more games in a row. Then Cameron will have to rail about that. But uh,
Yeah, don't jinx it. We'll see.
you know, we have we have talked about a couple of things off and on during these episodes, and Cameron and I were talking before we started shooting today, and felt like next episode might be a good time to talk about one of them. We've talked a lot about the documentary, and we've talked some about the meta glasses that you see Cameron wearing. He wears them in every episode. Uh, I think next week we're going to take a pretty decent segment of time, if that's okay with you, buddy,
Yeah,
and talk
yeah.
about.
Next week we are going to do a deep dive on the Meta glasses, not only on just the really cool, convenient things they can do, but more importantly, the things they can do that if you are someone living with any level of vision loss, these things are game changers, and we're going to talk more about that next time.
Yeah, that's the important thing. You know, are they cool? Yeah. Do they do? Cameron was kind enough to give his sister a pair or loan her a pair, and she was wearing them when we went to the tulip garden, and she would just say, "Meta, take a picture. Meta, take a picture." Uh, that's cool, but from what Cameron has told me, and I'm looking forward to the episode next week to hear him talk more about them. Uh, from what he's told me, for people with vision loss, they are a true game changer. So we're going to talk. We're going to talk more in detail about the meta glasses next week. That sounds good to you, right, bud?
Sounds good to me, Dad.
Okay. You got anything else to add, or are we done for this week?
I got nothing. I'm done. Everybody have a great week.
Everybody have a great week. Again, subscribe and like unless you don't like blind people. If you don't like
Unless
blind
you hate
people,
blind people.
you hate blind
How's
people,
that
don't
for a
subscribe and like.
how's that for a guilt trip?
That's a big time. They need a travel agent for that guilt trip. That's a big one. Okay. Like and subscribe. We're going to talk next week. Make sure you join us next week. We're looking forward to it, buddy. Enjoyed the heck out of talking to you as usual.
All right, Dad. I enjoyed it too. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.